The American Civil Liberties Union has raised $24.1 million over this whole issue with immigration and whatnot, which is interesting. I mean, I'm not surprised. I think Trump's executive order was, kind of sloppily put together. It wasn't a good idea, apparently. I don't think it's going to work very well. I think he should have thought it through. Now, what I would ask the ACLU is, okay, out of those millions of dollars you're raising on this fight for immigrants, how much of that 24 million are you going to use to file a lawsuit on behalf of Black Americans who deserve reparations? How much are you going to put toward a reparations lawsuit? Because you can't argue that we don't deserve it. Our plight is worse than these immigrants and refugees that you out here fighting for. I mean, we went through, I'm sorry, wherever you're coming from, even in the worst countries on earth, it ain't as bad as 250 years of dealing with the worst slavery known to man. What we've gone through is far worse than anybody else. And I find it so interesting that you will see so many people that will march, kick, scream, and yell over immigrants' rights, gay rights, women's rights, whatever. But they don't have anything to say about the rights of Black people. Nothing to say about reparations, nothing to say about what Black people are going through. I saw somebody who put up a billboard and said something like, we're all human beings. Basically, it was like they said they had some sort of cute way to kind of say that, whether you're an immigrant or you're not, we're all human. And I'm thinking, I wonder if they would have that same approach, or that same person would be out there with that same sign and that same protest with that same energy, if the protest had to do with Black people and not immigrants from other countries. You look at white people; they will fight harder for animals' rights than they will for Black people. They literally. I mean, you go out here and you hurt a dog, or let a cop be seen on tape killing a dog for no reason. Oh, you'll see the marches and the rallies won't stop. And so I'm not saying that I expect this from people. I'm just pointing this out to those of you who still think these motherfuckers like you. I'm serious. I'm just pointing this out to anybody who's really all caught up emotionally in all of this, overly invested in all of this, without having the critical thinking skill to understand how immigration policy has been utilized as a way to dilute Black power in America. How immigration policy has been used to basically replace you. Dr. Claude Anderson wrote over 20 years ago, he said, right now, the U.S. immigration policy heavily favors people from south of the border. And he said within 20 years, by the year 2013, because he wrote this in the 90s, he said you're going to have so many Hispanics here, so many illegal immigrants here, that Blacks are not going to be the number one minority anymore. And also your political power is going to be extremely diluted. And those same people that you're marching for and that you're fighting for are not going to be fighting for you. So again, without getting mad at me, because I know what I say, some of what I say is politically incorrect because people ain't ready for it. Honestly, I like to think maybe I'm ahead of my time. I don't know. I mean, I'm a professor. You're supposed to be a thought leader, right? As a professor, you're not supposed to regurgitate thoughts of other people. You're supposed to create your own thoughts. You're supposed to lead the frontier of thinking. So I challenge you to challenge me. I challenge you to come back at me and show me how on any systematic level that all these groups, the illegal immigrants, everything else, all these groups that you're getting all riled up about are out here fighting for you and issues that are specific and unique to you. I want you to challenge me and show me that. Show me where they are coming out and fighting for you in an issue that does not benefit them, that only benefits you, that does not benefit them at all, has nothing to do with them. And I will show you 1,000,001 examples where when it comes to you, their attitude is, I'm gonna mind my own damn business. They sitting over on the sideline eating popcorn, watching. In fact, they ain't even watching what's going on. They don't even care enough to do that. So what I would just say to you is that key word. Let's go back to that very basic word that we talked about before. The basic word was what? Reciprocity. Reciprocity means you must reciprocate. Remember that word. Ladies, when you're dating a man, remember the word reciprocity. He says, girl, I need you to do this for me. You need to say, well, I need to find the reciprocity in this relationship. What you gonna do for me, right? Girl, I want to have sex with you. Well, what's the reciprocity in this relationship? If I have sex with you, am I gonna actually enjoy it as much as you're gonna enjoy it, or are you just gonna get yours and move on, right? Reciprocity. Politically, Black people. If it doesn't mean you can't have coalitions, it does not mean you can't work with other people. But what it does mean is that when you form these partnerships, there must be political reciprocity. So my thought is that every time somebody calls me and says, "Oh my God, look at what Donald Trump's doing to the immigrants. You got to do something. What are you going to do to stop it?" My question is always, it goes back to the reciprocity issue. Now it looks like I might have froze here on Instagram. I hope I didn't freeze. I don't know. Let me see what's going on with this dang thing. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. Am I back? No, I don't know if I'm back or not. I can't tell. Okay, this is let me get rid of this off my screen. Okay, let me know. Did you guys lose me? Okay, you might have lost me for a second, but I'm back. I'm back. Dreducated says, "Are you for or against the wall?" I don't really think about the wall, to be honest with you. I don't really feel like the wall has a lot to do with me. I don't think that the wall is going to make much of a difference, honestly, based on the analysis that I've seen on immigration policy and where immigration stands right now. I do think that it makes sense to have a policy on illegal immigration that at least tracks, those who come into the country, because I know a lot of people who've had a car wreck with somebody who was undocumented, who didn't have any insurance. Remember, I don't know if y'all remember Ice Cube. Ice Cube was rapping about it or something in a verse. I think he said something about, getting hit by somebody with no goddamn insurance, and he was talking about like an undocumented citizen, right? I guess that's the technical term. They used to say illegal immigration, but I guess now they've changed the wording. That's what they do in politics to get you to see things as something other than what it actually is they'll change the language, right? So, in the abortion debate, the people that are against abortion, they'll use the term pro-life because they're like, well, who wouldn't be against life? And then the people who are okay with abortion will call it pro-choice because they don't want you to focus on the fact that it might be considered a loss of life. They want you to think about it. No, it's about you and your choice. Who's going to take away your choice, right? And it's all stupid, right? And so my argument, I'm pro-common sense. Pro-common sense means that, that the answers are not always liberal. They're not always conservative. You find the one that works for you and you go with that and you don't be scared of that. Am I against the wall or for the wall? I'm certainly against the idea of pretending like illegal immigration is not illegal. I know a whole lot of brothers that did so-called illegal stuff, and ain't nobody running around acting like what they did is not illegal. I know guys that got caught up on dope charges in the 80s that got 200 years in prison, and nobody's giving them amnesty. So why in the hell am I supposed to be all excited and pumped up about giving amnesty to somebody else when you won't even give it to me? Reciprocity. And see, that's the problem. When black people do that, when black people show up and just have basic fucking common sense, when we show up and just simply say, wait a minute, like you should do the same thing for us that we're doing for you. People think that that's militant. They think you're being an angry black person, that you're somehow being hostile. I'm not being hostile. I'm doing what you're doing. Just like the football game. Like, okay, wait, you're mad because I tackled you? Well, I tried to run the ball. You tackled me. Wait, you mad because I'm scoring points? Oh, no, you got 150 points. I'm trying to score 20, and you mad at me because I'm trying to get 20, right? Or even one thing Killer Mike and I kind of agreed on is gun control, for example. The Democrats teach you that black people shouldn't want to own guns, that we should believe in what liberals believe in terms of gun control. Killer Mike said, no, every black man should get a gun, and you should join the NRA. And I agree with that because that's what happens when the people who are armed the most, who have the most weapons, are the ones who work the hardest to disarm you, because that's how you establish a power asymmetry. And if you're dumb enough to go along with that, then it's great, right? You have a very simple relationship. You have the oppressor and you have the oppressed, and then you have peace because the oppressed group, it does not have the power to challenge the oppressor. That's the way it's been done all throughout history. So for black people, the reason you're consistently oppressed, in my opinion, is because you haven't put yourself in a position to compete, because you're too busy trying to get people to like you than you are trying to get people to respect you. In fact, one thought is I'm thinking about that football game. Let's go back to that football game analogy I used earlier. Imagine if you're playing in a football game and you want the other team to like you. You want them to be your friends. You want them to tell you, hey, that was a great move. Good job, right? You need that for your self-esteem. You're not going to be very good at playing the game. It's like, when Michael Jordan used to play basketball, how there would be young guys that would play up against him, and they would be really excited to meet him. They damn near want to get his autograph while they're on the court because they're so honored to be in his presence. And he would go out and score 50 points on him because the guy would be so busy trying to become friends with Mike that he wouldn't be prepared to actually compete with Mike. So you need to stop looking for friends. Be your own friend. Be friends with each other. Be friends with other black people. And then go out there and fight and compete for what's yours. You know, it doesn't mean you can't have productive relationships, but everything needs to be renegotiated. That's one area. That's one area where I probably sound a little bit like Donald Trump. Like the way he is with NAFTA, he's like, we're gonna rip it up. We're gonna renegotiate it. I say we renegotiate every relationship we have with every other group on this planet. We renegotiate the relationship we have with white America. We renegotiate the relationship we have with the immigrant community. We renegotiate the relationships we have with corporate America, with everything. Renegotiate everything, because the way the negotiations have been done to this point have not worked in your favor. They have ruined you. They have harmed you. They have not helped you in any way. So anyway, what I'm going to say is before I move on, I want you to write down this URL. Tonight, our stock market investing class is meeting. One thing you can say about Donald Trump, like him or not, is that the stock market has actually gone way up since he got elected, and also since Obama got elected. And so if you want to know what I'm thinking about this week, it ain't immigration. It's really actually how black people can build wealth and get strong. If you are interested in taking a look at our program, you can check it out at blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's where the Black Stock Market program is located. We meet tonight. We meet every week. We've stretched it to make it a 20-week agenda. And so you'll learn everything you need to know about investing in the stock market. It'll be a great investment for your life. One thing that a lot of people don't know, for example, is that, you know, when we talk about, one thing I teach the students in the class is how to have a 100-year plan for your family, a 100-year empire building plan for your family. Now people say, well, God, 100 years, that's so long. Oh my God, how long is that? 100 years is nothing compared to the history of civilization and mankind. 100 years goes by like that. You might have a great grandparent who was around 100 years ago. You definitely have a great great grandparent who's around 100 years ago. You go back 100 years, that's about 1917. That's not that long ago, really. And so the thing is that if there are basic steps that they had taken in 1917, even if they were in complete dire poverty, if they'd done basic things in 1917, then your family would be extremely wealthy in the year 2017. Extremely wealthy. Now, and some of your grandparents did those things. The problem was that a lot of that wealth was stolen from them, right? But also, I talked to a friend of mine the other day who told me that in the 1940s, her grandfather was a chemist, and he worked with another guy who made some sort of chemistry invention, and he owned a tiny little fraction of the company. It didn't amount to nothing back then, but he kept that share of stock and kept on holding it and reinvesting the dividends. And then what happened was, when she graduated, her grandmother gave her those assets, and that was the money she used to buy her first home. And it was a lot of money by then, right? So these little drops in the bucket that you put for your family right now are what can give your family economic strength, you know, 1 or 2 generations into the future. So one of the things that I did was, you guys might have seen me, I'm always coming up with these ways to really help people understand the importance of empire building, wealth building, all that. So one of the things I thought about was, you guys remember a few weeks ago, I was showing you how a person that invested $5 a day, say back in the 1980s, would actually have hundreds of thousands of dollars right now. I think it was after 30 years, they had $281,000 if they had invested $5 a day in the stock market in a diversified portfolio. I said, well, what would happen if you had a 100-year plan? What if you did 100 years of $5 a day? Just made it a family tradition. Like, it's $150 a month. We're going to come up with $150 a month, individually or collectively or whatever, that's going to go in the stock market. We're going to do this for 100 years, so that 3 generations down the line, our family is in a strong position. I did the math on that. And what I did was, I used basic assumptions on what the stock market has done over the last 100 years. And do you know how much it was? It blew my mind. The number, $5 a day now, $5 a day over 100 years, with an 8% assumed rate of return, which is about the average for the stock market, came out to $65 million. $65 million in wealth that your family would have in 100 years if you started a 100-year plan and you did that today, and the market behaved in a fashion that is consistent to what is done over the last 100 years. So what I would say is that this is your chance. This is your game changer. This is your chance to really plant a seed that will grow into a sycamore for your family generations down the line. Now, of course, if you throw in inflation and factor that in, the 65 million drops a lot to just a few million, but it's still a few million, right? It's still a few $million, right? In today's dollars, right? But the other thing too is that if you want it to remain consistent with inflation, like you really want it to be a real 65 million as it would be today, all you do is you take the $5, you increase it a little bit every year by the rate of inflation. So maybe the first year you're doing $5 a day, maybe next year you're doing $5.50 a day, the year after that you're doing $6 a day, $6.50, $7 a day, etc. But if your family did that, then in 100 years, your family would be extremely wealthy. You wouldn't have a family that was playing strugglenomics. Your family would be playing powernomics. You wouldn't be waiting around to get jobs. You'd be buying businesses. You'd be making major power moves. And your family members would have some big picture of you up on their wall 100 years from now saying, this is my great-great-great-grandmother who implemented our $5 a day investment plan that allowed the Wilsons to be one of the wealthiest families in the city, right? And this is not rocket science. This is not magic. This is not snake oil. This is not voodoo. This is not religion. This is real mathematics I can show you that's based on the simple idea, as Einstein put it. Einstein said that compound interest is the most powerful force of the universe. He said I'm stunned by how fast money can grow when you plant the seeds the right way. But here's the other flip side about money. When you don't invest money, money dies. For Black people, our problem is our money dies either a fast death or a slow death. A fast death is when you go to the mall and you spend it up and it's gone. White people got it. They're investing the money. They're building wealth off of that money. You're not doing anything. You're starting all over again. The slow death is when you don't invest and you just put your money in a mattress and put it under your bed. Because then what happens is that that inflation is eroding the value of your money. So the money you saved is not worth the same when you pull it out as it was when you first put it back in. So that's why saving your money really isn't enough. It makes me think about anybody ever seen on Narcos where they said Pablo Escobar, his money, he would lose $2 billion a year because the rats would eat his money, right? Well, that's the same way, right? If you're not investing your money, then the inflation's like the rats eat away at Pablo's money. So if you want to check out our program, feel free to go check out the Black Stock Market Program. You can sign up at blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. Or if you want to check out our Black Wealth Calendar, you can go to theblackwealthcalendar.com. That's theblackwealthcalendar.com. Now,